This is the next, right? You've just been handed that. You've been handed validation.
That's right.
Fuck journalism. Yeah, right? And just go for it. The thing is knowing where to begin with you. Because I feel that you're at this stage right now. Mm-hmm. You've just been awarded the Intersect Aspen 2025 Artist Award. It is kind of a big deal, really, let's be honest. And you're kind of transitioning out of this journalistic photography moment that you are so celebrated for.
I know.
And turning to art. And I don't just want to go, okay, let's just go turn over there, because I want to give a little bit of context to what you have been doing. So for the last 30 years,
30
is that right?
years,
30 years.
Like 30 years. 1996, I remember very clearly having this conversation to myself, because I was a housewife and a mom at the time, saying, I'm a professional photographer now. I make most of my income from photography. It was very little money, but it was most of my income. So yeah, photography for a long time. This moment, though, almost feels like shedding cocoon. And I think we all have a moment like that. It feels like it's been a dress rehearsal until now.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think, given sort of how remarkable your career has been, why do you see this as such a huge watershed?
Because if all I ever wanted to be was an artist, it's taken me a long time to get here. And it just feels like everything else was in preparation. So you have to get the skills to really be able to call yourself an artist.
And what's the difference? What's the difference between shooting for National Geographic versus what you're doing now?
Oh, such an important distinction. To be able to work for yourself in creating the things that you love without the oversight of an editor or an editorial board or an assignment director, none of that. I was a wedding photographer. I was shooting portraits for school children. I've done all of that. And what I think I love most about photography is that it's such a vast field. So you have to explore many corners to find your jam. And I found mine. It's just, it's competitive. It's difficult. Photography has the additional burden that in many circles is not considered art. Mm-mm. And so part of the job is elevating photography to the level of art. And so it's a big Mount Everest that we need to climb.
You said out there when you were accepting the award that you felt that sort of you were now allowed. Mm-hmm. You were allowed to be an artist.
Mm-hmm. This gives me permission. Yes.
But I'm really interested in that because what do you think was holding you back? And like when I say what's the difference between, okay, so you have an assignment from an editor,
yeah,
but the process of capturing the photograph for National Geographic or the process of capturing the photograph for yourself, it's the same to someone that's not a photographer.
Yes, and the questions that you ask yourself as an artist, as a creator, when you're on assignment for National Geographic, it's a pretty simple formula. When you work with your editor, they will say, we're going to need a hero shot, we're going to need an establishing shot, we're going to need some details. And you set out into the world with a list of things that the editor is going to need to see. And you try to make them in a way that's artistic and that maybe is unseen, that people are surprised by because you're revealing something new. So it's all part of the training ground. But if I gave National Geographic any of the work that's hanging on the walls of here, they would probably say, no, this is not the style of the magazine. So being able to shoot for myself means that I can make those artistic decisions now without any editorial supervision, which is great.
And so then what drives you? Like, are you out with a story that's in your heart that's like, right, I want to tell the story of a leopard, or I want to tell the story of this indigenous person? Like, what is the thing?
The magical thing about art is that it has something to say. And if you talk to a person who calls themselves an artist, but they don't really have a point of view or their art doesn't hold a deeper message, then there's just craft. Anybody can do it. What I want to say with my art, my favorite reaction from somebody is, wow, I had no idea. Something new about our planet is revealed. And it is shown in a way that is surprising and beautiful. because I do believe that we have to aspire to something. So I remember the first time I heard the famous speech by Dr. Martin Luther King, and he didn't say, "I have a nightmare." He told us about the dream. And it was a revelation for me when I decided that my art was supposed to paint that dream, so that we are reminded that the planet is beautiful and that we can aspire to a living planet full of the wondrous creatures, ecosystems, and indigenous knowledge that have held it together for so long.
But that you also, and again, you just said this, but that you wanted to change the world. So like deep down, there's this desire to do something huge.
At its simplest form, I want the people who look at my work to fall in love with the things that I'm showing. I think as an artist, my job is to be a semi-permeable membrane that's allowing a conversation to happen between that photograph on the wall and the person who's looking at it. And I can somehow translate that this is meaningful, valuable, worth of protecting, and it is part of our spaceship. It's a fellow passenger. And I am in awe of the natural world, and I think selfishly being able to make this art allows me to be out there in nature and just spending time with animals.
And tell me about hope. Hope. So not just the book, but let's talk about this essential thing that seems to work through everything you've ever done.
Yeah,
which is hope.
So I have a good friend, Dr. Ayana Johnson, and she's a climate expert. She works in New York, and she's a New Yorker, so she's very animated and very opinionated, very smart. And Ayana said, hope is not a strategy. And I remember thinking, I disagree. Because I was feeling almost depressed, last November when we were having the elections in the United States and the world was in such disarray. I remember thinking, part of my job is to show up and inspire people and say hopeful things and get people to donate to conservation and admire the natural world. And I'm not feeling it. And I remember thinking, Ayana, hope is a strategy. It may not be a plan, but it is so critically important that we hang on to some hopeful ideas of the place that we want to arrive to, because we're not at war because we like war, but because we aspire to peace. And it's as simple as that. So I think about the work I do, conservation. It can be so demoralizing, devastating, personally painful to lose a species to extinction when I care so much. And I think, I'm part of a very big chorus around the world of people that are singing together with me, the people that are protecting elephants and frogs and sea turtles. And every once in a while, when I feel completely demoralized and I need to curl in the fetal position and, gather myself again, I remember that the chorus is still singing and I can rejoin the song at any point. And that chorus of people, they're heroes doing incredible things, gives me a lot of hope.
I mean, what a way to end. I just thank you. I'm so thrilled that the book is now out and that the show is going to tour and that there are multiple opportunities for people to access your work.
You want to know how that book was made?
How?
So it's so difficult to find a publisher, right, that's going to do for you as an artist what you want, because they have to watch the bottom line and the budget and the editor and blah, blah, blah. And I've been through that process a couple of times and it was so infuriating. And so I met this very boutique publishing house in France. And I said to them, if I can get my followers to pre-purchase the book so that we eliminate the financial risk, can we make the book that I want? And they said yes. And so they gave me a milestone that you had to reach in order to, be able to print. We doubled it and then some.
That's amazing.
My followers were amazing. I'm going to say 90% are women.
Amazing.
Pre-purchased my book to make hope happen. And together, I asked them, which photographs should be in there, and the names of everybody who pre-purchased that book are in the back of my book. I wanted to acknowledge all of them. I wrote a poem to thank them for helping make hope happen, and we built a community of hope.
So hope is a strategy.
Hope is a strategy. You hear that, Ayana? Hope is a strategy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So good.
Appreciate it.
You're very good.
Thank you very much.